Hey guys, it's Dominique.
And Katrina.
And we just finished recording once again. Thank you so much. We're excited to bring you another great episode of Girls Just Wanna. But first, we want to remind you that we would love your vote for Worcester Business Journal's Best of Business in the write-in category.
Yes, so if you go to vote for the Worcester Business Journal Best of Business Awards, you need to follow all the rules and vote for, 10 businesses. But number 51 is a write-in, and we would love to have everyone write in Best Podcast, Girls Just Wanna, because we love bringing this podcast to you and supporting the Worcester community. And
having an award would just help with our exposure. So if you can write us in, that would be great. Votes are closing November 1st. So make sure you get over to that website and vote. We'll drop the URL right here. Thank you.
Welcome to the Girl Gang. I'm Katrina Gardner of Katrina and Create.
And I'm Dominique Goyette-Connerty of Evergreen Marketing. On this show, we're going to chat with women business owners in Massachusetts and those who support local women in business.
Because girls don't just want to have fun. They also want to sell real estate.
They want to open a brewery.
They want to teach others to invest in the stock market.
They want to take stunning photos, plan lavish parties, and help people recover from injuries. Girls just want a podcast. What can we say? We're girls.
Welcome back.
Welcome to Girls Just Wanna. I want to talk about Halloween because it's the season. Tis the season.
And I, with all due respect, am so excited for November 1st because that's when we break out the Christmas stuff.
Are you doing anything with kickboxing? Are you getting dressed up?
We do a theme night. We do a freak show. So it's the night before Halloween this year. So it's the 30th. And yeah, we get dressed up. We kind of go all out.
Yeah. I recall you getting excited for that.
Yes, but I was excited because as a member, I dressed up as funny, silly things. And now as someone who works there, we all do scary costumes.
I see.
So clowns and whatever,
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're called because I don't watch any scary movies.
I dressed up as a scary clown one year. It was great.
We did bearded lady. We did a lot of circus, weird stuff. Yeah. So I don't know what my costume's going to be. I think we all kind of share costumes and ideas and stuff. But so I just, me, I don't like the scary stuff. But when I was a member, I was at one point a gumball machine, which you remember. And then I was Barbie, workout Barbie.
Yes.
So those are fun and girly. And
well, I'm going to go trick-or-treating with Jamie.
Of course.
And
are you going in your town or?
In my neighborhood.
Okay, in your neighborhood.
Yeah. And he decided that he is going to be a dinosaur riding pirate for Halloween.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's so common.
Right.
Of course.
So we went on a hunt for a pirate costume. And
for the dinosaur costume.
Well, he saw those blow up dinosaurs, but it's one of the ones where you stand in it and your legs become the dinosaur legs, and it's got the fake legs, so it looks like he's riding the dinosaur. So he's gonna wear his pirate hat in his dinosaur.
So he's combining the two. Very creative.
Yep,
love that for him.
So I'm excited. I don't think I'm gonna dress up. I might wear a pirate hat or something. I don't know. But yeah,
maybe an eye patch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the extent of my Halloween plans.
Well, that's fun.
Do other things. Let's talk TV real quick. You have a show you're into.
So I just need to share. I've been watching the newest Love is Blind, and there was a contestant on there named Leo. The biggest red flag out of red flags that has ever red flagged.
Why? What's his deal? I don't watch reality TV.
Oh my gosh.
But I've been hearing about Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. He's I'm so rich and I'm so insecure that a woman is only going to like me because I'm rich. He's on Love is Blind, and all he talks about in these pods is how rich he is.
Oh, and they can't see.
Right.
So is he ugly? What's his deal?
He was a total gaslighter, though. He was into two girls, and then one of the girls was I'm going to pick someone else. And he's like, why, Hannah? Why would you do? And he, the way that he freaked out online was horrifying to me. And they didn't choose him and the girl that he picked to move on. And everyone's like, oh, why didn't you pick him? He seemed so fun. I'm I bet they thought that there might be, legal issues with him being, a psychopath. But, yeah, I just needed to get that out there. If you watch it, please chat with me.
Yeah,
Because,
DM her.
oh my God. What about you? What have you been watching?
Oh my God. Okay. This is a few weeks late now that I'm like talking about this, but Nobody Wants This on Netflix.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
So good.
Is it?
Is it Kristen Bell? Is that her name? And I'm so bad with celebrity names. And Adam Brody. Oh my God, the chemistry.
Is it?
It's
a
toasty
comedy?
in there.
Is it a romance?
Yes.
Rom-com.
It is. In the show, Kristen Bell, like her character and the character of her sister, co-host a podcast that's like girly pop and all about sex. And she meets this guy, Adam Brody, who is a rabbi.
Right.
And like just very Jewish. And she's like not. And also her main job is a podcast talking about sex. So it's like two worlds collide, like one very religious, one not. And it's just like, but they obviously hit it off and they fall in love and there's like all these complications. But it is so good. And I just saw yesterday they got renewed for season 2. Oh. And I'm like, thank God, because it ended on kind of a cliffhanger. It's such a good, like, someone's like, one of my friends was like, oh, it's like kind of corny and cute. And I was like, corny and cute? Like, yeah. I don't think it's that corny. Like, it's, I mean, it's like every rom-com, but like with a little bit more depth.
Yeah. That's exciting.
It's very interesting. I loved it.
Well, I'll have to watch it.
That's my recommendation.
Cool.
All right.
Let's bring in our guest. All right. Welcome, Margie Breault. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on our show. So, Margie, you have a business. What is it called?
It's called Prism of Brilliance.
Excellent. Love it. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do with Prism of Brilliance?
Yeah, so I am trained in a lot of different energy medicine modalities. When I say energy medicine, I mean like sound healing, Reiki, the ancient art of channeling, working through mediumship and being an oracle, which is weaving it all back through that lens of natural law. So natural law is Bonpo pre-religion, the way that Aboriginal beings and Indigenous people used to work in unison with the land and the stars and the galaxies beyond the beyond. And it's still how nature is proven scientifically to work, free of people taking ourselves out of it. Yeah. So all of the work that I'm doing is all of those different types of energy medicine, which I'm trained in all of those modalities that I just spoke of and probably some more. And I weave it all back through that lens of natural law. So we're bringing it back into that original way of being. So a difference between like what I do and what someone else who is not aware of natural law is doing is it's really bringing it back to its roots. It's bringing it back to that being the way that those ancient Aboriginal peoples used to do it and how Indigenous people still work with the land today.
Yeah. I was on your website and I remember seeing you had written something like you were trying talk therapy and you felt like it was just kind of pulling you apart and you really were looking for something to bring all the pieces of you together, and that's one of the ways that you ended up starting this business. And I thought that was so fascinating because Dominique and I are therapy girlies for life, you know, like
it's a tool.
It's so much so that we have the same therapist now. She's still my therapist. It's fine.
I love that.
But
yeah. But I did think it was fascinating to hear it said like that. Because I was like, oh yeah, like I do think that that's true. That it is just like a lot of like pulling the pieces apart, but then
how do you put it all back together?
Right.
Yeah, so actually, could you talk more about like how you discovered all of this and got into all these different modalities you just talked about?
That's a wonderful question with a complex answer.
Yes, of course. Take us on the journey.
So really, you have to understand like where I came from to understand why I went the way that I did, right? So like not everyone's going to go into the place where like they want to become a healer or they want to become a teacher or a way shower, which like I'm a little bit of all of those things. Like I do healing sessions, but I also teach and I apprentice with the academy that I take my classes through, and like that there was a lot of steps that got me to that point. So really early on in my life I was disconnected from my sense of self. So around the age of 4 I remember being made to look in the mirror and tell myself I was a liar, and a lot of things that my mother had difficulties taking accountability from her own trauma. And albeit she did release us a lot from the generational trauma that she experienced, but there was still a lot of things that happened in our household, and a lot of those were directed towards me. Probably because I was the most resistant to listen to the stories and be that scapegoat, but nonetheless I became that scapegoat. And so when that started happening, you know, as kids, we don't realize that we don't have to agree with the things that are being said to us. So then we start to act as if. So all these things that I was told about myself, I'm a liar, I liked chaos, I liked drama, I was manipulating people, all of these things, I acted as if those were true. So that came really true and really early on in life. So like I went through a phase of cutting my own body and mutilating my own body. I went through a phase of having an eating disorder because it was always, I was trying to control some of these narratives, but like taking it back to me. I always was in codependent relationships because I had such a hard time looking inward and realizing when I actually was causing harm, because I was causing harm to myself and others. And that was really hard for me to accept because it's also working against, like, I don't believe these things are true, but I'm still operating as if they are.
Yeah.
And so really early on, I also was put in therapy, I think around the age of 11. And because I was taught I was a liar, I was going into therapy and I was lying, right? And I also didn't want them to know where all of that trauma was coming from, which was mostly the emotional neglect and abuse and the psychological abuse I was facing at home, which I didn't even have a name to it then. Right? My dad was very emotionally disconnected. My mom had a lot of control. There was a lot of sexual violence going on in my life because I was experiencing, incestual behaviors from an older cousin who was around 20 years older than me. No one knew that was going on. And that also led me to go down that path of like giving my body away to people who had no right of having my body, which like really it was taken. I wasn't giving it, but at the time I thought I was giving it.
Right.
And so when I was going to all these therapy sessions, I was keeping so much stuff hidden because I thought it was my fault, because I was the bad one. Like I was the one who was supposed to be getting in trouble. And so I was like, I can't tell them that. I can't tell them that. Like I'll get in trouble. I'll be in trouble. It'll be my fault. Like I'm wrong. I'm the dirty one. I'm the gross one. I'm the one who's doing all these things for chaos. And I'm manipulating people and I'm lying. And so I had this huge disconnection from self. And so when I turned 18 and I went off to college, I didn't have all of those things happening in the same way, but they were still happening in very different ways. And I still sought therapy, but I still was lying in therapy. So like nothing was really getting to the root of the issue. And so when I was around 22, I had been talking to my childhood abuser, trying to gain some sort of understanding of like why he spent so much time causing me harm, because at that point I realized it was harm. And he doubled down on, like I was in love with you and all these really like very yucky things. And my survival mode was to go into fawning to try to like make sense of it. And so fawning is really when you're like, oh yes, I agree with your narrative and you're so wonderful and blah 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 blah. And like that was my mode to bullies. And that is like a bully type energy. And a friend of mine was like, hey, I love you, I'm not judging you, but like that you're only hurting yourself more. Like we need to clearly therapy is not doing what it needs to do. Let's try out something else. Like I've been going to Reiki. Why don't you start getting energy medicine done on you? And so in those sessions, I felt like, wow, I feel such a sense of relief and like this energy is moving, but I still wasn't getting to the root. Reiki sessions are like a really gentle moving of energy, and a lot of Reiki sessions there's not a lot of talk happening. They might be giving you messages, but like it's really a gentle energy move. And so I would go back into my life, and those limiting beliefs and those operating patterns would prevail. Like I would go right back into it, and then I'd be like, what the heck is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? And then coming right back into these patterns that are actually really causing decay in my life, like both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of the above. And so another friend of mine was like, you know what, I think that you should start learning about like the tradition and the ancientness and the really the theories behind all of these practices, because I think that's what's going to really ignite you. And I was like, you know what, let's give it a try. Like I like helping people. I like understanding where people are coming from. I was already in the human services field at that point, so I was like, sure, I want to do it. I'm spiritual, let's go on this journey. And so I started learning about Reiki first, and that was my segue into learning about energy medicine. So I went all the way up to my Reiki master teacher, but even in those teachings, there are a lot of teachers who are taught in a disconnected way. So they're not taught through that lens of natural law. They're taught like this humble healer, where you go into a healing session and you're this like conduit of healing, and that you can't hold that light when you leave that session. So it's like it's only you're in service to the client, but you're really not in service to yourself. So I was like, why do I want to go into these sessions and turn my light on and give out all this energy, but like not also hold that energy for me. So I still felt like something was missing, even though I started practicing energy medicine at that point. And then I was introduced to the community that I learn with now. It's called the Svaha Yoga and Synergy of Sound Academy. It was founded by Lisa Shwari Murphy, and she was really who brought it into the lens of natural law and weaving it back into the way that ancient and Aboriginal peoples worked in unison with the land and with the energy. And so my first segue in was learning about the law of polarity. And as someone who lived in positive projection, this unsustainable, like high vibe energy, I never wanted to look at the heavy and dense. I never wanted to look at the dark. But you can't sustain that. You always like come and drop down real hard. It's like a bipolar almost. And learning about the law of polarity made me become aware that everything that has atoms, everything in the world has a light and a dark, right? Nothing is all positive and all negative because everything's made up of atoms. And atoms don't just have positive and negative, they have both. And true power is resting in the middle and the awareness of both. And I was like, wow, I can live life a whole different way. I can come into this balanced state. And like, I had a choice in that moment. I had a choice to be like, okay, I want to learn everything from these people, with these people. I want to teach with them. I want to grow with them. Or I could be like, no, I want to go back to the other way because this is easy and comfortable. And I won't have to take accountability and learn about myself. But I chose the other way because for me that was the only way I was really truly going to navigate back to me. And through those learnings and through those teachings is how I have become all that I am right now. I wouldn't have been able to find that path to Prism of Brilliance or to be able to help liberate other people from their suffering and not identifying as suffering being who they are if I didn't go that way.
Wow.
That was a lot.
I know, but I was with you every step of the way.
I know. So you just tied it back to the name of your business, which is Prism of Brilliance. I'm curious how you
chose that.
Yeah.
You landed on that.
Yeah, so it's really funny. When I first started doing energy medicine, it was like, I'm Margie the Good Witch, right? I was making like salt bowls for people and like different types of sprays at work. I was working at the Better Business Bureau in Marlborough, not the one in Worcester. And someone was like, oh, you're like the Good Witch. And I was like, oh, that's such a cute name, Margie the Good Witch. Like, I'm going to fuse everything with Reiki. This is going to be my name. And the more I went through with energy medicine and learning about, the different ways and the science behind it, I was like, you know what? Like, witchcraft is a thing. That is a type of energy medicine. That's not exactly what I'm doing, and I don't actually feel like I'm a witch, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel more like I'm a shaman or an oracle. So this name doesn't really fit. And I kept the name for a while, but eventually I ended up doing like a whole sound session with one of my mentors to really ignite like what is true to my essence, like what really connects with me. And that's where Prism of Brilliance was born. That's where we actually also founded the logo too, right?
Yeah.
Like in that journey I saw myself like walking on a beach on a prismatic elephant, and I was like in my goddess form, and it was like the waves were rolling, and it was just very like ancient and cool and like of so many colors. It was vibrant, and I was like, that is my essence. That is who I am. And so as we did that journey, we were like, all right, what are the words that are really igniting you and working with your field? And Prism of Brilliance is what came.
Yeah. And so how long have you been doing this as Margie the Good Witch? And, how long have you been doing this, by yourself or as your own business?
Yeah. So
You've been practicing.
Yeah, I've been practicing like as far as starting energy medicine and being in the field of like getting it done myself. That has been around 11 years. Starting to learn about it has been around 7, and the introduction of natural law has been 5. So 6 years, I would say, that I've been practicing.
Nice. And you go, when you're practicing this energy medicine, you're going to, because you don't have like a physical location, you're going to the clients?
Yeah.
I'm always confused about, do we call it clients?
So it depends on if I'm working with a group or if I'm working with one person.
Okay.
I call the people that I work with one-on-one, those are my clients.
Okay.
And so clients that I work one-on-one with, I am either doing virtually or I'm coming into your home. But I mostly work with groups. I do a lot of group work. So I facilitate workshops that's teaching people about natural law. I do a lot of facilitated sound baths and journeys through the synergy of sound. I also apprentice with the academy that I take classes with, so I eventually will be a teacher through the academy. And I do a lot of public speaking. So like I've done sound baths at conferences, and I talk about meditation in big arenas. I also write, so I'm an author too, and I'll be officially publishing my first book next month.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's like a really big to do.
I'm a published author as of this year, but like in a magazine. And, but like a book will be.
A book is a big deal, though.
November.
I mean, in a magazine is a big deal. Getting published is a big deal. That's huge. Good for you.
Do you have anything you can share about your book?
Yeah, so it's a multi-author book. It's through Ignite You Publishing, which is out of Canada, and so the book is called Ignite Humanity. And it's all about people's ignite moments, like those moments where they realize that, like, hey, I can turn this into magic, and what really ignited them on their journey. Yeah. So a lot of what we're talking about here is what's in my chapter. Yeah. Some of it dives a little bit deeper. You hear a little bit more of the journey, and who the key players in that journey are, and then the steps that I think people could take in their life that would make it really easy to start to ignite that in their own field and their own journey, which it looks different for everybody, right? Like no one's journey looks like mine, not even the people that I work with as a community, right? Their all journeys look different too. Yeah. So it's honoring all of the paths that allow you to come into that pulse, to that pain.
Do you have like a favorite service that you offer, like sound baths versus something else, or?
I really love teaching. Yeah, teaching is what sparks me. But I also really love creating. So along with the things that I do like in person, I also like created a flow coaching journal that has a lot of resources that allows people to like do this work independently. So it has like QR codes that you can go to meditations and playlists that I've made, but it allows people the opportunity to like bring it into their everyday life. Yeah. Like not just like, oh, I'm going to a sound bath and someone is giving me this energy, right? It's like, how can I practice it at home? Right. And then I also created a workbook to go along with the class that I teach, but you can do it independently without going to the class. So I love teaching and I really love creating. Yeah. Those are the things that really spark me. So in that vein, I also love my coaching clients because I do like transformational energy sessions, which is a little bit different than the coaching sessions. The coaching sessions are typically with other healers, other people who are working in the space that don't hold the natural law piece and are trying to become aware of that piece in their own field. And in that, I'm doing a lot of teaching. It's a lot of like, we're doing the energy medicine piece, but I'm doing a lot of oral transmission and download in those as well. So that part I really love. Yeah. And transformational energy sessions is a lot more hands-on. I'm doing body work, I'm doing sound, I'm doing Reiki. There is talking involved, but they look different than the coaching sessions.
And so if people, come to you and they're like, hey, I want to work with you, but like I have no clue, like where to start or whatever. What is kind of the process like, or what's the path towards you working with them? Do some people just kind of find you because they show up to or they're at, maybe a business or a conference and you're doing a sound bath, and how are you going about then working with them when you're kind of starting from, or they're starting from zero? Like, I don't even know where to go.
Yeah, so starting from zero, people are typically finding me from sound baths.
Right, okay.
Or at an event that I might be at. Or, someone recommended me or bought, I have gift cards, right? So, people can buy a gift certificate and gift it as something. So people find me that way as well. But I'll tell you that most of my clients aren't those people who are just starting out on the journey. Okay. Although I love working with those people too. Yeah. The most of the people who are coming to work with me are like, I thought I was there, but I'm not there yet.
Is it kind of similar to I was doing therapy for several years and I realized this is not working, right? Or I was doing a certain meditation practice and it wasn't working.
It's those people who have been doing something, right?
They've tried everything
still
else.
Feel really disconnected. It's those people. Yeah. Although I definitely have clients who came to a sound bath for the first time and they're like, wow, I never knew that I could feel like this. I need to work with you. Right. And those sessions, they look different than someone who is already on some sort of spiritual or healing journey. Right. And it's all about the intention of what that person needs, right? Like, what is what is the pain point for that
Right.
person, and we worked for that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask more about that. Is like, especially when you're doing one-on-one, I'm sure, but when you're even doing like groups or several healers to one, are you having conversations about what their specific goals or pain points or intentions are with these sessions or this energy?
Yeah, so the intention is the most important, right?
Okay.
Because I can't really help someone if I don't know what you're trying to heal from.
Mm-hmm.
And so typically, especially if someone is brand new to their journey, right? It's like, I am feeling really sad, or I don't have a lot of energy, or I'm unhappy at work, or I'm unhappy in my relationship. And that is where you actually get to dive deeper once you create that space for them to actually identify what's going on.
Yeah.
When people are further along on the journey, the intentions then become different, right? It's more like, I'm noticing I have this limiting belief that I'm still working through, or I see this obstacle, this pattern that's reoccurring, and I want to break free from it. And so then you get more deeper to the trauma that is causing that issue. And then that intention carries through as you work with the person, right? So like, I get to be that mirror to miracles, and I get to be that mirror to like, oh, you actually have this direct evidence right here, and I'm not going to let you forget your power. I'm not going to let you forget who you are when you forget. I'm going to hold that light for you. And so it's all about what the person needs, right? And sometimes a person or a client can be like, hey, they can text me before a session. They're like, this is what I want to work on, right? And then they come into the session. It's not at all what actually comes up, right? Like, they think they need to work on this thing, but they come into a session, I start doing my thing, and they're like, oh, that's not at all what I need to focus on. This is all that's coming out of me. So all about in that vein of like transformation, of becoming aware, of doing it in a compassionate way with no judgment. Because as you guys could hear, I've gone through my own journey. I don't hold a lot of judgment for people who have similar experiences, different experiences. Doesn't really matter, right? We all start somewhere,
right?
And we are all still human. No matter how much I practice, there's still going to be that 20% that I'm not in flow, right? There's still going to be that 20% where I'm agreeing to those limiting beliefs. And it's just becoming aware of that in a non-judgmental way, because if I'm stuck in judgment, I'm going to stay there. So if I'm holding judgment, I'm not helping anyone else liberate either.
Right.
Yeah. So if someone wants to work with you, how can they find you online, or how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so they can find me on my website. It's www.prismofbrilliance.biz. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm not as active on TikTok, but I probably should be. And my contact information is on all of that. And for people who are like, wow, this is all so interesting, but I'm not quite ready to call her and see her in person, that flow coaching workbook and the natural law workbook are both available on Amazon, so they can buy it there too. And they can start their journey in the comfort of their own home.
Sounds good.
A nice little baby step.
Yeah, little baby step.
Yeah. And as you know, we love to end our episodes shouting out another woman-owned business, because we're Girls Just Wanna, and we always want to support the ladies. Do you have anyone in mind that you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I'd really like to shout out Jennifer Hernandez from Gem Marketing. She's a close friend, and she's also a client, and she comes to most of my sound at the YWCA that I do on Tuesdays. But she is just a phenomenal wisdom-bringing human being who is just a bright light in the world.
Yes, we love her. We've actually both worked with her in different ways over the years, so we should reach out to her.
You should. She is back in full force with Gem Marketing.
Oh, good.
I love it.
Just an incredible human being.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, because that's something I didn't know. So we'll have to reach out.
It's brand new.
Good. No, good. Well, breaking news. You heard it here first. Thank you so much for coming on, Margie. This has been enlightening, to say the least.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great experience, and thanks so much for creating this space for other women to share their stories.
Thank you. Yeah, we love doing this. Yeah.
It shows.
All right, we're back with Heart It or Hate It. My first one is Heart It or Hate It. What was it? Eye masks.
Hate it? I don't think I've ever used one.
I've started wearing like the heated ones before I fall asleep.
Are they go all over your eyes, or they go under on your eye bags?
All over.
Oh, okay.
And it's like lavender scented, and it like, you open it and it starts to heat up. It's just like a temporary heated thing. And then you dispose of it. And I've been really enjoying that. But I used to wear like a real one. I had Nod Pod, which was like a weighted eye mask. And I really liked that. But yeah, I heart them.
Never used them, so I gotta go hate it.
I recommend. But
Do you feel like it helps? Like, do you feel like more rested or less
Yeah.
eye bags or what?
So the first time I wore like the weighted one, I felt like I slept like the dead. Like I just was out. But it helps with like I can't fall asleep with any sort of light at all. So I first started wearing them because my husband used to fall asleep with the TV on.
Love that.
And
That's what I do.
I was like, can't do this anymore. And then now I have the baby monitor, which even though I turn my phone like as low brightness as I can, it still like shows up. So yeah. But yeah, I heart them.
Okay. Heart it or hate it? Magnetic chargers.
Hate it?
Okay. Have you used them?
I think I did once a very, very long time ago, like when they first came out, and it went so slow.
Okay. So I have not used one, but like I have friends who use them, and I love the idea of them. Like if I feel like if I got one and it worked, that'd be great, because I do hate, I have the OtterBox and I hate opening the little thing.
Sure.
And also some of the chargers I buy, like I just had to return chargers I bought off Amazon because I bought cords that like then the thing that comes out doesn't fit through the case.
Yeah.
And that's annoying. So it'd be so great if I could just put my phone down on a magnetic charger.
Absolutely.
But I'm also like not convinced that they work. So I'm kind of like scared to buy one.
Yeah, I didn't have good luck, but again, this was a long, long time ago.
I'm gonna go hard it because I do love the idea.
Okay.
So in an ideal world, if it works,
Yeah.
then I love it. I love the idea. It's great.
Sure.
But unfortunately, I don't know if that's true. So we'll see.
My next one is heart it or hate it. Pimple popping
Blech,
videos.
stop. No, I'm sick.
Oh my gosh, I heart it.
That is sick. And let me be clear. When I get pimples, I do have the bad habit of popping them. My own pimples in my own home in the privacy of my own.
I will say a disclaimer. I only like to watch the ones that are like small little whiteheads.
Okay, hold on. I'm
blackheads.
like getting physically sick as you talk about this. That is
So you do not watch Dr. Pimple Popper.
No. Please stop. We need to move on.
We're moving on.
Yuck, Katrina. Okay. It's too early in the morning.
Do not
I just
shame
ate.
me. For...
I'm not, I mean, like, to each their own, but also, like, I'm trying to get through this podcast without throwing up. Don't shame me for wanting to keep my breakfast down.
Okay.
What was my last one? Oh, okay. Harder to hate it, Zoom call mullets. And of course, by that, I mean you're still in like your PJ pants or your sweatpants or whatever, but on the top you look semi-presentable.
Heart it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I feel like people have shamed me for like doing that.
Really?
Not the person on the other call would know,
But people
obviously,
you talk to?
But just like, no, just like I see like videos out there giving corporate advice that's like,
Get dressed everywhere.
Yeah, dress the part. Because that's how you look, that's how you feel the part, and like that's how you perform the best. And I'm like, God damn it, let me be comfortable.
Dress for the job you want.
Which is to stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have that job, so. Okay, I heart it.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, right?
Yep.
All right, well, thanks again to WICN Studio 50. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Stream on all the platforms.
Yeah. See you
Bye.
next week.
Later, ladies.
You did a great job last
Oh,
night.
thank you.
You're welcome.
It was so fun.
You're so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we recording it? Can I have that clip as a testimonial?